A city runs perfectly until one tiny part fails, and suddenly everything is hanging by a thread. What if civilizations don't die because they fail, but because they get too good? What if the peak of a civilization is exactly the moment it begins to overload itself? We often look for catastrophes, for wars, for meteors, for the one big mistake. But sometimes the end isn't a bang. It's a system that has to do more and more until it quietly stops working. And that might explain why civilizations often don't explode. They collapse in silence.
Today we're looking at 4 possible endings, 4 model worlds, deliberately simplified, not as predictions but as warning signs. Not inevitable, but possible, and that's enough. And the first one doesn't begin with war, it begins with success.
Imagine a society that gets almost everything right. It spots problems. It organizes. It builds rules, agencies, standards. It connects everything. At first, it's a miracle. Water flows. Roads bind cities together. Medicine stretches life. Order appears. With every problem solved, the society becomes more capable. But then something strange happens. The better it gets, the more expensive it becomes to stay good. Because every new problem needs a new solution. And every new solution adds new layers, new processes, new checks, new specialists, new exceptions, new dependencies. In late Rome, administrative, tax, and military costs rose, and the room to maneuver shrank.
Like a ship, you keep expanding, more decks, more rooms, more tech.
Until you spend more time maintaining the machine than moving forward.
And then comes the tipping point. Suddenly, more doesn't help anymore. More administration doesn't solve the problem. More rules just make it harder to see. More complexity eats the benefit. From the outside, the society looks stable, but inside it becomes heavy, sluggish, oversensitive, and eventually, every reform isn't progress anymore. It's open heart surgery. In this model world, civilization doesn't die because it runs out of ideas. It dies because it becomes too complicated to steer itself. And now comes the part almost every civilization underestimates.
Even if you can manage complexity, you still have to feed it with energy. And that hunger becomes the next ending.
Now imagine you could see a civilization like a campfire. At first it's small, a spark, a few flames. Then it grows. More people, more cities, more production, more comfort. But every upgrade comes with a price: energy. Mesopotamia, irrigation turns deserts fertile until salts stay in the soil and harvests decline. And then at some point, this happens. The civilization isn't just big anymore. It's energy hungry. It needs energy not only to grow, but just to remain what it already is. The problem is, energy is never just energy. Energy comes from sources. Sources come with limits, and limits come with conflict. And here's the trap. In a system that assumes permanent growth, if you need more every year, then standing still can already mean falling behind. Because your system is built as if tomorrow there will be more. More raw materials, more transport, more stability. But what if there isn't? What if the easy sources disappear first? What if every additional unit of energy gets more expensive? Then progress suddenly feels like a treadmill. You run faster just to avoid sliding back.
In this model world, civilization doesn't end because nobody invents anything anymore.
It ends because appetite grows faster than its options. And if you think that's bad, wait until you see what happens when a highly optimized system makes just one mistake. Then it's not one part that fails, then everything fails.
This is the most unsettling world. Because here, civilization isn't weak, it's connected, extremely connected. In highly networked systems, many things depend on many things. Your food depends on logistics. Logistics depends on fuel. Fuel depends on infrastructure. Infrastructure depends on spare parts. Spare parts depend on global supply chains. And supply chains depend on trust. And now imagine one single link snaps. Just one. Maybe an energy crisis. Maybe a cyber attack. Maybe a political blockade. Maybe a natural event. At first, it looks small. An outage here, a delay there. Then it tips. Because systems that are perfectly optimized have almost no buffer. When everything runs just in time, one just too late is enough. And suddenly the chain breaks. Like dominoes, or like a Jenga tower, where you've been pulling blocks for years, and then it collapses into itself. In the 14th century, bad harvests led to hunger, price shocks, unrest. One crisis pulling the next into place.
In this model world, civilization doesn't collapse in one strike. It dies in a chain reaction. And the cruel part is, when you notice the collapse, it's often already everywhere. And yet there is one ending no technology can repair, no reactor, no algorithm, only people. Because when the we breaks, the system breaks from the inside.
Now the last world. Maybe the most human, and maybe the most dangerous. Because here, it's not technology that fails. Not energy. Not knowledge. Here, the we fails. Imagine a game where everyone wins if they cooperate. But each person can also profit short-term by cheating. At first, everyone trusts because it pays off. Then something changes. Inequality rises. Rules feel unfair. Some pay, others slip through. Some carry burdens, others collect benefits. Weimar. Trust in institutions breaks, and each side sees the other as illegitimate. Not as a comparison, just an example of what happens when legitimacy collapses. And then comes the moment when people stop making sacrifices for a system they no longer see as their system. Cooperation becomes optional. Society keeps running, but only on the surface. Taxes get dodged, rules ignored, responsibility passed along. And without cooperation, it becomes extremely hard, sometimes impossible, to operate complex systems in a stable way. No healthcare system, no infrastructure, no social peace, no stable future. What follows isn't an instant collapse. It's fragmentation. Parallel structures emerge, private securities, private rules, private truths.
Civilization doesn't disappear because it's attacked, but because inside it stops being a shared order. In this model world, nothing ends with fire. It ends with indifference. And that leaves the most unsettling question. If these are the four most common endings, which one might very quietly be showing its first signs in us?
4 models, 4 endings. 4 ways a highly developed order runs into its limit. And maybe none of them alone explains why it's so quiet out there. Maybe they work together. Maybe silence isn't the absence of life, but the sound that remains when civilizations reach their edge. And then the question isn't only, why do we hear no one? It's, what would we have to do so we can still be heard? If you want to take something from this, maybe it's this: buffers, energy realism, resilience, and trust. Those are the 4 dials. Which of these developments do you recognize most in our world? Write it in the comments.
If you've made it this far and you enjoyed the video, check out the other episodes in our Cosmic Fate series and keep going with the video in the bottom left.
Black